Morning, church. I pray that this past weekend was a blessing for you. Southern California is getting lots of much needed rain, and I absolutely love the rain. So whether you like it or not, I pray that as we start this new week, that we could be more attuned to what God has in store for us and to be able to listen to the still small voice of God. With that, let's begin. Now, what do you think is the best and the most exciting places to go shopping? If you looked at the title, you probably already guessed what I'm going to say. But I think it's Costco. Now, of course, it's going to depend where you live and what you like shopping for. But I think Costco gives the best shopping experience ever, right? I grew up in a large family, so Costco was a very important part of our lives, right? We would have to buy everything in bulk, right? They had a really good return policy. You could buy a large quantity of things, vegetables, fruits, toilet paper, all for a really good price, right? And don't forget the food court, right? $10 pizzas, $1.50 hot dog and drink. And this is my favorite part about Costco, actually. It's the free samples. And of course, right now, if you go, you're not going to get any free samples. But pre-pandemic, food samples were the greatest. Now, all of this great stuff, everything that I just talked about, the benefits, low prices, the free food samples, all of it comes at a cost. And the only way you can have all of these benefits is if you have a Costco membership. Now, without the membership, you can't receive the benefits and the perks of what Costco has to offer. Right? You could try getting in with somebody else's card, but of course, because of their strict policy, you'd probably never be able to buy anything, nor would you probably be able to get anything or experience the true benefits of Costco. Now, in order for you to experience Costco at its fullest, right, you have to have a Costco membership. Now, having a Costco membership is kind of similar to the ideal of having citizenship. And now, of course, it's very different. There's a lot of different technical differences that we have to remember. But in general terms, membership is very similar to the ideal of citizenship, right? When you have a Costco membership, for example, you have an identity, right? You get the benefits, you have the rights to go shopping at Costco, right? In the same way, when a person is born into a country and they obtain citizenship, they have an identity, right? They get rights, they have these benefits, they get protection from the country and so many more other things. Now, not only does citizenship give you things, like I just mentioned, but citizenship also requires us to do and to give things back in return, whether it be loyalty, dedication, whether it be paying your taxes, or just living life by certain rules, regulations, and laws. Now, today, as we continue with our devotions, we're moving to the next book, which is the book of Philippians. And it's a short 4-chapter book, and we'll finish it this week. But Paul writes this letter to the church in Philippi while he's in prison. And he's writing to this church, which happens to be the first established Christian church in what is now known as modern-day Europe. Now, the church of Philippi, for a little bit of background, was a Roman colony that was filled with patriotic, nationalistic, retired soldiers. Okay, and so when Paul was first in Philippi, he faced a lot of pushback because of the message that he was teaching, right? That Jesus is king, right? And this good news of who Jesus was. Of course, Roman soldiers did not like that because they didn't think they had any other king other than their own Roman kings. Now, despite this, the church continued to grow despite the pushback and the setbacks that they faced. And as they continued to stay close to God, they continued to grow in numbers. And so Paul is writing this letter as a letter of encouragement and a reminder of the things that truly matter. And I think this message is so timely and so important for us even today. And this is what it says: whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you will stand firm in the one Spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel. Now, the word conduct in the Greek literally translates to live as a citizen. But the question now becomes, a citizen of where? Is it Rome? Is it Philippi? Absolutely not. It's none of those two. Paul tells them to live as citizens worthy of the gospel message, or the gospel of Christ. Or in other words, Paul is telling them to live as citizens of heaven. And Paul talks about this theme again and again, and he says it even in Philippians 3:20. He says that our citizenship is in heaven. Now, it's easy for us to think and to live a life as if we were just citizens of this world, right? We live here, so it's very obvious that we would think, we pledge our allegiance and our citizenship is American or Korea or whatever country it is. And it's so easy for us to get caught up with thinking that we just need to live as good citizens of this world here and now. And now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, well, stop being good citizens. I'm not saying we should be bad people or we should not be responsible as citizens. But what Paul is reminding the church in Philippi is that their citizenship is not of this world, but in heaven. So we too can be reminded that in reality, as Christians, we are citizens of heaven that live on this earth as tourists. So what does it mean? What does that even look like? Okay, you see, because we are citizens of heaven, we receive the many benefits and the blessings of citizenship. We are under protection of the King of Kings, of the Lord of Lords, right, of God. We have the reassurance that God will be with us in times of joy, in times of gladness, and even in times of trials and tribulations. We receive our identity as a child of God, a citizen of heaven. But even with citizenship comes with responsibilities, right? And our responsibilities are to live out the kingdom, right? To live like kingdom living. And if you don't know where to start, look at Matthew chapter 5. Look at the Sermon on the Mount. Look at the Beatitudes. Because God is calling us to live at a different standard than the rest of this world. But there's more. When we live like citizens of heaven, we become spectacles for the world to see. You see, Paul says at the end of verse 27 that even if he's not with them, even if he doesn't see them or witness what they're doing, he knows that by the way that they live their life out for the gospel as one, he'll know that they are living like citizens of heaven. And that is so powerful. So I want to remind you and challenge you all today. You are a citizen of heaven, and you're just a traveler through this world. So let's live a life worthy of the gospel until we all get home.